Now, power plants will not face broad regulations from the Environmental Protection Agency to cut carbon dioxide emissions. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court limited how much power the EPA has when enforcing the Clean Air Act. KVUE's Tanvi Verma tells us what this means for Texas and the fight against climate change.
West Virginia versus the EPA is the name of the case. It deals with whether the Clean Air Act, which is a law that regulates air emissions, gives the EPA power to regulate power plants in a way that pushes them to shift to renewable energy. Andres Restrepo is a senior attorney with the Sierra Club's environmental law program. He says when it comes to climate change, this takes an important tool out of the toolbox.
We think that it will make it a lot more difficult for EPA to achieve the same level of pollution control that they would have if the court had ruled the other way.
According to Environment Texas Research and Policy Center and Texas PIRG Education Fund, Texas is home to 8 of the 100 most polluting power plants in the U.S. Under this ruling, the EPA can still regulate carbon emissions, but it does put a stop to what Restrepo says is the most effective way of reducing greenhouse gases.
This decision will make it harder for us to meet our international climate commitments. It will make it harder to avoid the worst impacts of climate change.
But Frank Macchiarola with the American Petroleum Institute, which is a trade association representing oil and natural gas companies, says more EPA regulation isn't necessarily the only way to fight climate change.
Over the past 10 years, we've actually reduced emissions in the power sector by 24% here in the United States. Again, that's through the innovation and technology advances within the industry, not due to regulation.
He says the industry is fighting climate change on its own already.
We think there's a lot of positive benefits that have come from our own industry operations, from our own ingenuity, from our own technology and innovation.
Going forward, Restrepo says this ruling doesn't affect individual states' ability to tackle climate change and that they may be able to take action in their own ways. For KVUE News, I'm Tanvi Verma.